Yeah, no problem.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to Camio's inaugural kickoff cloud communications industry briefing for 2025. It's amazing to say those words, those I should say that number out loud. Where has the time gone? I don't know about you guys. I feel like time's been a little bit frozen since the pandemic, but things have picked up again. So really excited to bring back this fan favorite with our friend Alan Quayle of TADHack fame. Alan, welcome back in.
Thank you so much, Tim, and thank you for the invitation. Looking forward to all we have to share today.
And we do have a lot to share, Ellen. I think even last year we agreed there was way too much to share. This year, I feel like it's been in hyperdrive,
Yeah.
and there's some new three-letter acronyms that are top of the bill. There's trends, there's
Yeah.
compliance issues, there's a lot going
Oh,
on.
there's money. We got private
Money.
equity with money to spend. We've got reality of we could see some IPOs in this space.
I
So we
love the
can
sound
start.
of that. Well, actually here. Let's start with that. Actually, tell me more about that. Like you said, something I was reading your post on LinkedIn. And by the way, if,
Yeah.
if you're listening and you have not following Alan on LinkedIn, you got to connect with him and watch his post because he's very prolific. He's
Thank you.
he's and he's very honest and integral. Is that a word? He has integrity. Anyway, but
That's
Alan,
it.
you were mentioning something like there's what 500. Is it 500 million billion that's out there for
I
reallocation?
know the numbers are just crazy. So
Yeah.
in the programmable communications or programmable telecoms, it's up to you. If you're more enterprise focused versus more telecom focused, there's been some major shifts. Dollar signs are appearing. I mean, we've got, of course, Twilio stock moving from 42 to 110, thanks to Moez Kassam and Anson Funds. And
Yeah.
I have to say they used some of the stuff that we've been spouting on TAD Summit Truth in Telecoms. They took that and boy, did they make $100 million in profit for that fund? I mean, and this is all in our space. So
Yeah.
those sort of numbers are delightful. Now,
Right.
the $1 trillion in private equity comes from two sources. The private equity groups haven't really been spending that much. It's not been a bubbly market. And in 2025, there's about half a trillion,
Mhm.
$500 billion that they either need to give back or invest,
Yeah.
which is good and bad, but it means
Right.
there's money there. So I look at, say, for example, you know, uh, well, I'll come to it later. So there's
Right.
investable opportunities
Yeah.
where investors want to invest and have the funds. Plus, just what's been raised over the last 5 years in private equity is another half a trillion. So it's
Yeah.
$1 trillion. It's a great situation. And, I think we can start chanting IPO, IPO, IPO.
Nice. Nice.
Reason? Just two examples. Cineverse lost the T-Mobile aggregation deal to Infobip. First
Right.
of all, that's direct objective proof that spamming grandma has a financial impact. So, woohoo, T-Mobile US doing the right thing. And I think Infobip's IPO this year is likely.
Mhm.
Also, and if you follow Robert Viz, you'll have seen he's been publishing how he's been steering Bird and the numbers he's achieving in that steering. That could be a surprise IPO in 2025 because I think the market will look at that, salivate over some of the numbers he's generating, and hey, here's a ton of money. Go and make it a broader reality. So I think we've got some big disruption, but it's showing good numbers. So that's I'm all excited by. And you're going to see through this a important theme, trust and integrity. They are the keys to being successful in 2025 and is the reason that I'm here presenting on Cameo's briefing, because as far as I'm concerned, they are a great example of acting with honesty, acting with integrity, because throughout the time I've known them, they have fired customers who spam people. And that to me is an amazing testament to doing the right thing, not because it's going to earn you any money, but doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Honesty and integrity.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Alan. You're absolutely right. It's been a challenging 3, 4, 5 years as
Yes.
compliance and regulatory agencies have caught up with this, and they've been here all along. But I'm so happy that they're so much more engaged, and I think
Yes.
We've got the lead generation people sort of running for the hills in the best possible way. As always, I think in every industry and every business, there are white hat players, there are good
Yes,
players like Cameo and Alan Yu and folks that we work with. Then there are the black hat folks, and unfortunately, you're always going to have both, but you got to be able to
yeah,
put the right things in place to control
exactly. And you
this.
can
Yeah,
educate the market so
yeah,
people understand when
right.
people are stealing from the customer, that are
Yep.
spamming grammar, because they deserve to be pointed out, because
Yes.
that ensures our industry gets better. It's never going to be perfect, but
Right.
from where we are today, we need to move to be better.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into it. So let's start with by the way, these are in no particular order, right, Alan? So let's go through sort
Not
of the
really, no. Yeah,
top 10 trends. Yeah.
yeah,
And let's talk about campaign service providers. Those are CSPs. Can they survive?
yeah. So
Yeah.
not communication service provider, just
Right.
campaign, because
Yeah.
it's been a tough few years.
Yeah.
I mean, some CSPs have been shifted around on which aggregator they're supposed to work with. There's been a whole host of heartache around processes, and again, having to clean up some of your customers. And some have done a great job, like Cameo, some have not. And the way I look at it is, it's what I was just saying before. Honesty and integrity are the keys, and it's critical for building customers' trust. Let's remember, it's only a couple of years ago that Twitter was saying we're losing 60 million a year to AIT, to artificially inflated traffic.
Wow.
And I mean, I remember when I first saw that number, I was like, that's crazy. It can't be. And then the more I've dug, the more I've realized, okay, it's a slightly special circumstance with Twitter, but there are thousands of companies that are being stolen from. And it has
Yeah.
to stop. And it can stop. Again, we'll talk about that later. So there's a lot of stuff we can do to make it better because we've got SMS spam. I mean, I have to be honest, T-Mobile US has improved my PSTN experience enormously. Also on robocalling, I'm almost to the point where I don't worry about answering the phone now,
Mhm.
which is great. We've got, of course, the cybersecurity issue, and I would say the operators are sort of doing a shaggy defense, which is it wasn't me.
Right.
You have to be honest.
Yes.
AIT is a stain on our industry, and we need to solve it. Artificial monopolies are being created where we're seeing 1,000% price rises for A to P SMS. What planet are we on when that is even acceptable to the regulator? So we have seen some regulators getting their act together, and also we've got the silly hype with RCS. We're going to cover that in more detail. But
Yeah.
I saw with some of the aggregators, like executives, CXO title, getting all excited. Apple's joined the party. I was like, okay, but you've got the pricing. You need to be competitive with several existing offers, and the list goes on. You've got to get your pricing sorted out, and that
Yeah.
includes the carriers as well. So, there's again, it all comes back to just be honest and act with integrity with your customers, and they'll reward you for it. Full stop.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed.
So, moving
So
on.
yes.
So, this one might
Quantum
seem a
computing.
little odd,
Mhm.
but this. So, there's a number of things that have been happening. Google's recent development with its Willow chip, quantum computing is getting closer and closer. So what that means is all your existing encryption can be hacked,
Yeah.
potentially in 4 to 7 years. China, encrypted data is just storing it because it knows it's not going to be that long until we'll be able to basically use quantum computing to access the raw data. So it's crazy situation. But what that means is you now not need to start thinking about, well, what's our response to this? You don't need to have a solution, but you need to at least have a plan. So at TAD Summit, where we always have cool stuff, we had Cavero Computing doing a presentation on this topic with a technology that can help you add more encryption where you need it today. So, because we sort of take IP6 rate. Oh, it depends on your application. You might need to wrap around something additional. So you can improve existing encryption. And when quantum computing, is viable, then you can start putting something in place that can protect your data. So again, cybersecurity is going to be a theme throughout 2025 and the next decade. And I think that you unfortunately do now need to start planning and talking to your customers. This is the approach we're going to take when it becomes critical to our business, well, to your business.
Got
All right. Then we have. It's just repeating history from over a decade. Can't we just learn from history? Telcos, or telecoms, I should say, you don't need API standards, okay? Does Apple use API standards? They use web standards, absolutely. But their APIs, do they make them standards? No. Google doesn't. Microsoft doesn't. Yet telecom industry goes through this. Oh, we've got network APIs. We're going to create all these standards. Developers will love them. It'll be all relevant. Businesses will love it. And, some of the evangelists out there, say things that are just frankly wrong. So I was having a discussion with one, I'm not going to name names, and saying banks love our SIM swap APIs. And my jaw it's like, banks think the problem is you, the telecoms industry, that, your bribed employees are doing the SIM swap. So it's you can't basically train and basically even sue, because a lot of times it's like, let's just cover it up. It didn't happen. When actually, in reality, they need to be far more active in stopping SIM swap on their own platforms. Yeah. And it's, again, because our industry is so sort of closed, there's complicity from the analysts and events organizers sort of presenting Kamara as a de facto, it's going to be great. And, we've got history. And in fact, you're repeating history with the same PRs about we've joined forces and everything's going to be amazing. Again, it's sort of slightly detached from developer reality. I mean, running TADHack for so long, being in this industry for so many decades, puts me in a sort of slightly unique position, but it's a unique position where I'm ignored. But anyway, all I can say is we've been here before. I predicted one API wouldn't be, successful. And when I was doing that, very few people, I'm getting echo back in my ear.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. Oh, there you go. That sorted it. So, I was there like a sort of lonely voice in the wilderness, and I was proven right. It failed for all the reasons I described. And now on camera, quite a few of the same people are back repeating the same mistakes. But anyway, for all your listeners, camera, just keep a watching brief. You don't need to do anything this year.
All right. Keep an eye on it.
Keep an eye. And again, we have business messaging within RCS. Last year I said, just keep a watching brief. Right. And I was proven right. Given the 16 years of failure to launch, that's not really much of a prediction at all, but you are going to see buzz, possibly. So Google was planning, targeting the US for some RCS launches with the carriers. Because of political realities, they're sort of keeping their head down. It's like, no, we're not a monopoly in RCS. We're sort of tangentially, we're just helping people, because let's face it, Meta has bent the knee. It's like, we're not going to protect facts. And those facts were biased anyway. So it's, Meta's bent the knee. Let's see what Google does to bend the knee. But for many brands, there's a lot of confusion around, well, how do I get apps? I'm supposed to be able to do this without having to build an app. So how do I do that? I mean, there's some great companies out there that I greatly respect. I mean, you've got Native Message, Michael Lamb. He just says it as it is. It's like, there's no, everything's marvelous. The world's beautiful and Apple's joined. He basically says, well, we need to get the pricing sorted. You need to do this. This is how you do the integration for the conversations. And here's where their gaps are with some of the popular conversation platforms. So again, it's great. It's just laid out so you can build, trust from his integrity and explaining the reality of the situation. So, and who approves the campaigns? it's going to launch in 2025, and we don't know the pricing. We don't know, basically the technology. We don't know who's going to approve those campaigns. Come on, let's get real. I would say for most businesses, just keep a watching brief.
Yes.
Its time will come. But back to what I was saying with the lawmakers, there's no encryption. And seriously, what new modern messaging technology gets launched without end-to-end encryption? Seriously. And that is on the standards bodies for not doing their job. But anyway, enough ranting on that. Keep it watching brief.
Yep. Oh, my favorite conversation here.
Yay! So again, excellent presentation from Thomas Howe on the rise and rise of VCon. We've been tracking it since it was a glimmer in Thomas Howe's eye. And now there's two bits to it. And this is all thanks to the work within the IETF. Great respect for what they're doing. So VCon, which stands for virtual conversation, it's a file type for conversations. So it enables a business to listen at scale to your customers and to ensure compliance of that data in AI training, okay? Because a lot of businesses going, why does that matter? Well, it's your customer data and you're using it. And hey, in LLMs, they can spurt it straight out, So it doesn't matter what guardrails, it can be exposed one way or another. So this solves, I think, a critical problem and enables you to operate at a far greater scale because it's the IETF standard. Everybody uses it. Well, we'll use it. Now, SCIT, this is supply chain integrity, transparency, and trust. Now, long title, but what it does is it enables right to know and right to erasure. So I could be pissed off with a particular brand and say, I don't want any of the conversations I've had with you recorded or used on your systems. SCIT enables you to do that. It's very powerful. It enables auditors and regulators to confirm what customer data you either have or don't have. And there's some really cool fake exposure stuff as well. But we won't, all to say, this is going to be an interesting road at TADHack this last year. We're in 2025. We had some amazing hacks. For the developers, they get VCon. There was a hack. It was Shrine at the Temple of Computing. They didn't even say VCon. They basically just gave this sort of experience at the shrine of computing, and it was funny. It was entertaining. It explained how important VCon is across so many different use cases. That shows developers get it. When they don't need to talk about it, they don't need to say it. They just need to show an experience and how you can relive that experience thanks to VCon.
Yeah.
So moving on. Oh, go
and now, actually, before we move on from this, I want to say that I've had a personal connection with VCons too for quite a while, and we've been working with our friends over at Strawlid, who have a very interesting platform where they work with hundreds and hundreds of automotive dealers, and they use VCons to tag online chats to basically use AI to break down voice conversations into text that they can add to the data set. And when folks at a dealership sign into their platform, the Strawlid platform, they can see all this past customer interaction in a summary form and know, is Tim shopping for a car? Did he come in for service? And it sort of brings this whole idea of the VCons for virtual conversations. And then, as you said, with the SCIT, with the ability to say, a customer could come to you. And by the way, this is, as you know, big in Europe, where you need to be able to have your information deleted from sites, and it's part of the law. It's a little bit more sketchy here in America. But it's nice to see that it's built in now where, all right, I could actually call up my local auto dealer and say, take all my stuff out of your system. Exactly. And it can be done. So I see it from the business perspective and I see it from the customer's perspective. And we started this by saying honesty and integrity really matter. And this is a great example of doing it the right way with new technology that's coming. And it's super exciting.
And I think you can strongly differentiate your position in the market by demonstrating that trust and integrity. But anyway, moving on. So, you know what? Voice AI really is good enough for some use cases. Not all, but quite a few. So this, I think, will be the year of voice AI and LLMs. It's good enough. There's a link there to a very interesting discussion at TAD Summit around will LLMs replace SaaS? And of course, the answer is no. It's usual bullshit people talk about for the sake of talking. But it's not going to replace, but it's going to automate. So it's going to make SaaS better. So it's LLM plus SaaS is going to have a big impact. Now, voice AI, it's a tough technology for large vendors. Every 3 months, something pretty revolutionary comes out. So it's actually a lot easier if you're smaller because you can rev your product faster and get that out into your customers. So we've seen at the end of last year some big raises, I mean, tens of millions by, for example, ClerkChat, Vida, Vapi. So, the investors see it. They see the opportunity. They see customers spending money on it in constrained use cases. So this is going to be an interesting time. And I know it's been predicted for quite a while now, but I really do feel based on, the hacks we saw at TADHack, what we're seeing, the companies in this space that aren't just building like platforms and sort of middleware, but are selling direct to enterprises, particularly small, medium enterprises. They're making money and retaining customers and differentiating thanks to voice AI. So it's all those data points that I've seen towards the end of 2024 really make me think, some of that private equity cash is going to go into this segment and really accelerate it.
Yep. Excellent.
Oh, I know.
Your favorite.
Search message monopolies, and you'll find my articles on this space. I'll ask a question. Can a foreign-owned TCR, the campaign registry, exist in Trump's America? Well, you know the answer as well as I do.
So he finds out. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think he's been told already. They need to get it sold as soon as possible. That's Tata Communications. I mean, Ericsson sold iConnective last year. They saw the writing on the wall. And it's like, guys, let's get this off our plate.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, there's rumored TCR 2.0 companies. There's claims CTIA provides RCS approvals, not TCR. Google, of course, has all the capabilities there, but they're keeping their heads down. On RCS, not to attract the attention of Musk. Because again, one of the founders of Google was great friends with Musk, and they're no longer friends. It's all billionaire, not even politics. It's just personal vendettas and stuff. So anyway, I would say, it comes back to we've never had all the controls within one party. This is a unique time in America, and I think that that's going to have a big impact across the messaging monopolies in 2025, more likely into 2026, to be honest. And remember, again, the shameful racist text that was sent out just after the election. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
And how's that even possible given the TCR?
Yeah, 10 DLC, right? Yeah.
It is.
Yep.
And we even, because we're in the industry, we know some of the providers of those numbers.
Yes.
And it's like, guys, what the hell is going on there? So anyway, it's, again, back to, as you say there, campaign compliance.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Now, one of the things I'm proud of is I finally got out an honest CPaaS review. It's big. There's a link to it. I apologize for its length, but it really sets out the reality of what's going on in our industry and the mitigations that can be implemented today and have not so far. So I think it's showing basically the problems, characterizing them fully, and then showing the solutions that are available. I mean, just some data points, and these are all US centric. 41% of 65-year-old and above do not answer the phone because they're scared of scams. I mean, these are boomers that grew up answering the phone, and 41% of them are too scared. I mentioned one of the TAD hackers. His father got caught in a romance scam and lost his life savings. Gone. And the rest of the family now are having to support the father because he has nothing to live on. It's terrible situation, and it's scaring people. Black Americans are twice as likely to say that they've lost money on a scam. And guess what? You look at the numbers, and again, it's in the review there, they are being targeted because, of course, the criminals don't care. It's like, hey, we make my money off this segment of the society. Spam away, robocall away. And, it's fine. It's just numbers that are driving them there. And, for me, this number I find, again, shocking. And this is sources Truecaller for all this data. 56 million Americans are impacted by scams every year. We should be doing so much more than, again, part of what I'm trying to do is just raise awareness so we act, because CPaaS is both an enabler of the problem, but it's also part of the solution. Yeah. And it's getting the whole industry focused on solving the problem to make life better for Americans.
Yep. Amen.
Right. Getting towards the end here. This one. So remember the 5th of November. This is Guy Fawkes Day, or Guido Fawkes, which was his actual name. He tried to blow up the British House of Parliament, and he failed. And because of that, for hundreds of years, we burn his effigy on bonfires on the 5th of November. But as I mentioned, the separation of powers is no more. We're in a unique time in American history. And really, anything can happen. We've never experienced all the mechanisms of control within one party. And the leader has explicitly stated he's going to shake things up. So as a result, all my predictions have to come with this rider that things could be quite different. Some of it I look at as just distraction. It's fun. He's just having a laugh because he can. Like New Greenlandia. We'll take this bit of Panama out so that we can control the. Some of it's just fun. I don't think he's serious, but of course, all the media are like, running around headless chickens. But regardless, that's my rider. I'm giving you predictions, or trends I see, but we could be in quite a different world, within 4 years.
Yeah, there could be some very positive change in terms of being more oriented towards business needs and reducing clutter, but regulatory clutter. But at the same time, stripping some of these gains away would not be good for the industry.
Exactly.
Like this one-to-one consent rule that's about to kick in 2 weeks. That's a very positive thing, but it's also
agree.
Someone could argue that it's very onerous for businesses to adhere to it, but it should be onerous if you're going to be a trustworthy, honest, integrity. Work with integrity in our industry. But
exactly.
We shall see. Yes, we will.
Yeah, we don't know, but it is a unique time. And the big one, and this really hit in December, is all the cybersecurity angst. This, I think, it's not just going to be 2025. This is going to run through the next decade. And let's just understand what was said by senior senators across party lines, so both Republican and Democrat. PSTN was hacked, and we had Mark Warner describing it as the most serious breach in our history. Okay, so that's pretty significant. Then we had Mike Rounds, Republican, and he's on the Senate Armed Services Committee on cybersecurity, and he basically said unless you're using a specialized app with built-in encryption, China's looking at you. But it's worse than that, though, because they don't realize that it means you're like, say Bank of America sends you a SMS with a passcode. That can now be exposed in real time on the dark web. So a criminal can basically pay a couple of bucks for that and go, oh, Alan's received passcode. Here's the passcode from Bank of America. Oh, just call him up. Hey, Alan, it's Ed from Bank of America. We've just sent you a passcode. Here's the number just to confirm my identity. We need to check your account.
Yeah.
Now, I may fall for it, I may not. Depends, we think, oh, that's obvious. Guess what? In a busy day, it's surprising what we'll fall for. And that's in real time. A couple of bucks and, the returns could be massive. So that's really, I think, the risk for most Americans. Whether China's spying on you or not, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. But Losing the money in my bank account, that matters to me. And again, that's why only 41% of 65-year-olds in North America are answering the phone because they're scared of scams. I mean, it's a terrible number, you know?
Yep,
So that's
absolutely.
to wrap it up. But again, as I said at the very start, you know, we've got tons of money coming in from private equity. We have the ramp up thanks to activist investors, and we've got some IPOs coming up. We are in a very different world in 2025
Yeah.
compared to where we were in the past 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Well said, Al. Really appreciate all those insights. And just to tag on, sort of from Camio's perspective, some high level things and
Oh
some
yeah, absolutely.
rubber meet the road things. The first thing is you already mentioned it, at the beginning of your presentation that, we here at Camio have also been experimenting with using AI in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And one of them is, that it is now really relatively easy and inexpensive to build your own LLM. And my brother's a big programmer at a big software company, and it's interesting. They started off, of course, telling their employees you can never use, OpenAI, ChatGPT, never put any code in it, never do anything
Yeah,
with it.
yeah, yeah.
To all right, they brought in a consultant. They said, no, what you need to do is build your own LLM inside of your firewall, where you can put your code base in there. You can debug, you can create, and sadly, they're talking about, well, we can start just hiring coders from overseas because now we've got this, these cool AI tools that make it easier than ever to make new code. But I
Oh
think
yeah, absolutely.
what this should shout to people is that AI has finally come, maybe I would say halfway around the circle. If it's going to go full circle, it's halfway. And it's at the point
Yeah.
where there are tools and implementations available to almost any business who wants to dip their toe in it and find a usage
Yes.
for it.
Yeah.
And we encourage everybody to be out there looking at that, whether it's
Oh
for
yeah.
their platform or for their own business usage. Um,
Yep, internal or external,
yeah,
absolutely. It's
yeah,
there. It
yeah,
works for specific use cases. It's not general.
right.
You do need to be a little bit sensitive, sensitive. But I would
Yeah,
say to work out within your own workflows, within your own business, you need to find it.
yep, 100%. And the second one is, and we say this a lot, is that choosing the right voice and SMS partner is very critical. We've
Yes.
already, Alan, you've hit the themes: honesty, integrity. Those are important, like here at Cameo, but also knowledge and support. So
Yes.
we've heard some of the biggest logos out there. Some of them may have a different color blue in their logo. A lot of them have a really bright red color in their logo. I'm not saying names, I'm just pointing
No, no,
things
no.
out
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that continually have issues with providing really good support and
Yes.
knowledgeable support in the moment of need. And that's something that I think you'll see that differentiates Cameo. It's one of the reasons you're on this call today with us, with all the webinars and content that are available on our website, but also our very highly trained, highly knowledgeable support and integration team that helps
Yeah.
people get up to speed quick. If you have issues with your voice or your messaging, we have tools and people that will actually respond to you and help you work through any issues that you might have. So anyway,
Exactly.
as you're thinking about 2025, make sure you got that right partner and somebody who could extend, help you save money, but also you
You
know,
can trust.
yeah, exactly. Somebody who you can trust and will help you stay ahead of the curve. Because,
Exactly.
Ellen, a lot of things you talked about during your slides, I didn't know a lot about until we were preparing for this presentation, because I feel like I'm pretty well plugged in. You're a whole nother level above. And I think a lot of people who are on the call are like, oh my gosh, my head is spinning right now. What is going on? Because there's so much going on in the industry, it's hard to keep up.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
want to be with somebody who's going to keep you informed. And
Exactly.
lastly is, and you said this very well, you mentioned some security uses with RCS, but you also talked about grandma, grandpa getting these phone calls that they cannot trust. And I'm really glad to say that as we start 2025, that we at Cameo are one of a very small handful of companies that have been pioneering a new sort of single availability branded calling solution, where
Hmm.
it starts with registering your brand, and linking that brand, vetted knowledge about this is who you are to your phone numbers, and then down to when those phone calls are delivered, what shows up on the handset so you can trust those calls
Yes.
or those RCS messages, right, coming through.
Hmm.
because sort of that sort of brand registration and sort of that CTIA, the trust zero trust framework, when
Yeah.
that all works together and you deliver all of your calls, texts, and RCS over somebody like Cameo, you'll be able to have your brand be vetted, verified within sort of this ecosystem that's very small and trusted. And when
Hmm.
it comes out the other end, somebody who's 45, 55, 65, when they pick up their phone, there'll be a nice big check mark and a big logo, and you'll know I can trust this. So we're working on that. We've been talking about that in the last couple of webinars. We're really excited about it here at Cameo, and we're excited to keep Alan and all of your folks in the loop as we develop it. So watch for more of that coming as we go through Q1 and into Q2. So
Great.
I think what you should hear is, we're trying to be trustworthy white hat members of this ecosystem, but we're trying to really solve some of these core identity problems that Alan
Yeah.
and I have been talking about for years.
Yeah.
And it's great to be part of an organization that's doing that.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
with that, by the way, we have a really nice audience on here. We'd love to open it up if you want to use the chat feature. If you have any questions for Alan or for me, now's the time to put him in there. By the way, everybody who's on the call who registered will get a copy of this presentation and the slides. So all those really cool links, Alan, to your content will be
Yeah.
clickable. So you guys will be able to click on those and go look at those TADHack presentations, which all of us should go back and look at. They're always fantastic, and you do a great job of documenting those on your site. By the way, sign up for Alan's newsletter if you haven't. Okay, we'll make sure you get links to all that in this information. But
Cool.
he should be one of the folks you're reading whenever he publishes, just to stay up to date on what's going on.
Yeah.
Um,
Truth in
I,
telecoms.
Truth in telecoms, Alan. I think there was one question here because you mentioned earlier that Google's involved with RCS. I think
Yes.
somebody doesn't quite understand it. So what role is Google playing right now with RCS?
Yeah. So Google bought Jibe. So because the standard is a mess. So basically, Google bought Jibe. It has the server, and then all the carriers finally decided, okay, we'll use Google server. So now, it all runs through Google.
Yeah,
And Google has all the processes around, as a brand, you can register and all the rest. But, they're not exactly, Google isn't exactly loved, by Trump. I mean, Trump's been very clear.
yeah,
And, there was a friendship once upon a time between Larry and Elon Musk, but that sort of fell apart over a disagreement about whether we're going to merge with robots or not. I mean, it's all very weird, but you know, that's one of the reasons why for a lot of brands that talk to me, because they're saying, "Oh, I'm trying to understand the roles. Who's doing what? It's not clear to me." And I'm like, well, it isn't because there's still a lot of uncertainty out there. Now it will resolve through this year. Okay.
yeah.
The pricing will get sorted out.
Right.
I mean, hopefully they sort out campaign approval so we don't have the mess, because with the conversation campaigns, you can't control what customers say. I
Right.
mean, they could be just ranting at you because they're frustrated, and there could be lots of curse words and stuff like that. And do you get banned because of what a customer said on that conversation?
Yeah.
There needs to be a level of maturity. We saw with the UCaaS providers that had to complain to the FCC about all their problems with approvals. So again, there's so much that needs to be worked out. It's not end-to-end encrypted. So, hey, what Rounds and Warner said, does that carry weight? What is going to happen? Because at the moment it's sort of like back in 2016 when NIST basically went, "Hey guys, we're depreciating using SMS for 2FA," and it was like, "Shit, what the hell's going to happen?"
Right.
And nothing
Yeah.
happened. It only started happening when Microsoft and Google were so frustrated by all the AIT, so the robbery, that they actually moved to passkeys.
Yeah.
That simple biometric approval, and that
Right.
works well. I love it. It makes it easy for logging into so many different services in a simple and secure way. So we don't know, but I would say the scale, what's been said so far, it comes back to my rider. you know, there's never been a time where so much control has resided within one party. It could mean things move exceptionally fast.
Yeah.
You know, as I said, Meta bent the knee.
Right. Right.
They may be in a
Well,
very different position, you know, at the
yeah.
end of 2015, 2025, sorry, than they
Yeah.
are, at the moment.
Yeah. Well, Alan, here's another question that came in. They said we're seeing chatter online from some of the upstream aggregators and providers that say that they already have delivered, hundreds of millions of RCS messages and that come to us
Yes.
to do your bit. But look, you and I both know there's no way for a brand to register an RCS campaign today. There's no campaign, like there's no sort of business loop and to be able to register traffic. Like SMS and MMS are working just fine
Yes.
after all the bumps, and it's still not 100%
Yeah.
without issue, but it's much better than it was even a year ago.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
how can these companies get away with putting stuff on their website saying that they're already doing RCS business
Well,
messaging?
they have been, in other countries. So,
Other countries, got it.
yeah, I mean, I've
Right.
been using RCS for years,
Right.
but I
Yeah.
look at my address book and or my contact list, and it's like, even with all these alleged, Apple, iPhone users, sorry, I'm like, where are they?
Right.
It's still
Right.
not baked.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's
again,
WhatsApp, right? When we say RCS, it's been WhatsApp, right?
uh,
Basically. Or that's the encrypted version of
yeah,
yeah.
RCS has been, deployed quite widely. It has, I mean, ATP messaging using RCS, is available. Now, I mean, it's not broadly, but I would say, work has been done, and those trials and tests and stuff, results have been generated, and it's like it's 10x, 10x, 10x is this, and that's
Yeah.
okay,
Right.
absolutely. But you need the ecosystem to be operating. So you have all
Yeah.
the pricing resolved, you have
Right.
all the campaign approvals, you have every piece that enables SMS to be used successfully for A2P communication,
Right.
also for this new
Right.
channel. Now, it's a
Right.
pity that we're not so evolved that we used the shift to RCS to go, well, there's no point talking about channels anymore. It
Yeah.
could be any. It's your preference as a customer, or it's your preference based on the workflow that you're using, and it just then becomes customer comms, or basically customer support, or sort of a billing, or something that it's a workflow for a business rather than, well, it's over SMS, or oh, it's over SMS. That should have by now been sort of, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So and it will be good, because then you don't care whether it's MMS, SMS, WhatsApp. You're just communicating with this customer or customers around a particular workflow, or
Yep.
sort of the business issue.
Yeah. And I think the biggest open question too, Alan, is like I think people understand to send an SMS message, you come up with a message, you get embedded, you register the campaign, you send it, you get charged.
Yeah.
Same thing for MMS, but now there's imagery involved. Make sure that's all approved. RCS is an app-like experience delivered through, the Messages app, right, on
Yeah.
iPhone, for instance. Who's going to build that interface? Who's going to build that, that process, right? And it's like, so developers are going to have to be involved at some point. So
Exactly. And there
yeah,
are, I mean, again, I mentioned Michael Lamb with Native Message. There are companies out there, there's quite a few, that have solved this.
yeah,
So, other countries aren't necessarily at, ground zero as North America is.
yeah,
But to be honest, in a lot of countries, WhatsApp has such an advantage, because, for conversations, it's there, it's mature. For bots, it's there, it's mature. For
right,
security, it's there, it's mature. There's a whole list of stuff where, I'll be honest, WhatsApp's significantly ahead. And if we look at one of the CPaaS enabler companies, Senate Mobile, and they've, with their telco customers, have created some of the most successful CPaaS programs that incremented the telco's revenues by up to 15%. So it's not insubstantial what they've done. Their roadmap is SMS, then WhatsApp.
yeah.
They don't even think RCS is relevant
Interesting.
in their markets.
Yeah,
Again, It's in their markets. So they're,
Right.
out of Sri Lanka and Bangladesh and companies like that. So I always it's keep an eye on it this year. Keep
Right.
an eye on what's happening internationally because that could influence decisions as well. And just carry on using SMS, MMS. It works.
Yep.
It's great. And I would have, like, maybe a couple of months ago said, yeah, WhatsApp for North America, it's in the noise. But
Yeah.
once basically Meta bent the knee,
Right.
and whenever people are visiting us, I mean, granted it's more international, we just set up a WhatsApp group, and that's how everybody chats. You know,
Yeah. I was going to say it's very interesting. I don't know anybody here who uses WhatsApp. It's
yeah,
fascinating. It's
yeah.
kind of like Skype. I don't know anybody who uses Skype.
Oh, well, my
Um,
mum uses Skype, and that's the only person I can
well, okay.
communicate with,
There's a story there, I'm sure.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
meanwhile, I got emails this morning from my mother-in-law saying, "Is this a spam? Is this a spam? Should I be answering this call?" And I'm
No,
like,
just don't answer.
the answer, yeah, right back to the beginning. There's no trust and integrity. People do not trust what comes through
Yes,
today, which is a real problem.
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
holding
I
us all
agree.
back. So,
But I have to say, with T-Mobile US,
yeah,
they've made my experience so much better over the last 3-4 months. Robocalling is it's a tiny problem, and it's also with Android. With they have the little folder for all the spam texts as well. So it's
yeah.
it's multiple factors, but that's getting to the point where I'm going. It's sort of getting almost good enough that I can just answer without worrying. We're not there
Well,
yet, though.
that is huge progress, Alan. So,
Yeah.
congratulations. It almost makes you want to switch away from Verizon. But
Well, and actually, it was funny. One of the guys that I work with, he was complaining. I was saying, "Well, have you, tried?" Because I use Mint Mobile,
yeah,
and he was like, "No, no, 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 no." And then I just showed him, here's all the phone calls I've had, and he just looked, and it was like half of his were robocalls, and there wasn't even on the first page a single robocall. I was like,
yeah,
"Damn!" Now he
yeah,
has an iPhone as well. So
yeah.
when we moved on to all the spam SMS, then he
Right.
was like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, it's both my carrier and I have with Android this filter. So that was like, oh, should I consider using an Android rather than an iPhone? I was like, yeah, go on, do it, do it.
Well, it'd take a lot to get me out of the walled garden, but
I
I
know, yeah.
my brother loves his and I love mine, and thank goodness, thank you to RCS. Now we can actually be in group chats and not have it be messed up. So
Well,
that's
and you
that's
could
progress.
be in a group chat with WhatsApp. It works really well.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I need, another app on my phone. All right, Alan. Well, hey, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who attended today. And again, just a reminder, obviously, everything we said during this call, these are my opinions. These are Alan's opinions. They don't reflect our employers. And also on top of it, just, again, we will be sending out a copy of this video recording as well as the slides with links to all the great sort of sub content that Alan was referencing during his sections. And we'd like to offer anybody out there, by the way, I mentioned earlier, Alan, this one-to-one consent rule. We've had a lot of people
Yes.
contacting us to ask us if they are in compliance with the one-to-one compliance rule. And we actually have a form on our website at cameo.com that you can fill in, and we'll spend 10-15 minutes with you with our experts. We'll review your opt-in, your one-to-one consent, make sure that you are, based on what we know the rules are that are going to kick in on
That's
the
it. And
27th.
the
Yeah.
text you use is very
Yes.
important. But
Thousand
I
percent.
agree,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's a number of providers that do that, and it
Yeah.
is a relatively easy, quick check. And
It
in
is.
some cases, it's just a cut and paste. It's like this is the text you
Yeah.
need for
Yep.
approval, so it's
And it's just a
follows the format.
Yeah, and it's just a reminder too that remember all the leads that you may have been working from last year right up until the 27th, you are not allowed to use those starting on the 27th unless they adhere to the one-to-one consent rule. So if any of
Yes,
this is making you scratch your head and say, "Oh, maybe am I going to be okay?" Go to our website, fill in the form, and let's walk through it with you because
yeah,
we don't want to see anybody get in trouble. But we also want to make sure that you are getting that one-to-one consent to, again, honesty, integrity, keep customers happy, and don't run afoul of the FCC.
exactly. Because the bottom line
Yeah,
is all about trust. With
yep,
your customers and then their customers. And
correct.
when that circle is fulfilled, it just makes it easy. You know, you
Yep.
don't have to think about it. Back into the good old days of the PSTN, where we never even thought about these issues.
That's right. That's right. All right, Alan. Hey, keep up all the great work. We'll
Thank you
we'll,
so
we'll
much.
follow you on LinkedIn. We'll watch the TADHacks, and everybody out there. Hope you have a great start to the year. And like I said, reach out to Cameo. You need any help with your voice or text messaging, and stay tuned for our approach to RCS and to CPaaS updates within our platform, as well as branded calling. I already mentioned, so that's on the way. But we appreciate everybody. Hope everybody has a great day, and thanks again. Thanks again, Alan.